I've worked with people from Louis Vuitton, from Visa, Emirates, and we've achieved millions of impressions with them. Personal branding. I would say it's actually less about you and more about the people you're targeting in your audience. Your brand is built on how well you help your audience, not how well you just like present yourself. You've got their perfect pictures, 500,000 likes. And honestly, when you read the content, it doesn't really give you anything. Because of that, they're damaging their brand in the long term. You're not actually building a personal brand, you're just posting pictures. First thing I always say is just...
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Founders in Jeans. I'm your host, Emily Jean. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say a huge thank you so much for listening to my podcast. It means the world to me. It is a really special project to me. It's very close to my heart. And yeah, before you get into the episode, I also wanted to say that if you enjoy the show, feel free to leave a review on Spotify or Apple, wherever you're listening to this, and also to follow us. You can follow us on Spotify, of course. You can follow us on Instagram at Founders in Jeans. You can also find me on Instagram at emily.jeans, or you can look me up on LinkedIn. I'm always happy to connect with people on there, and I have a lot of good conversations from listeners. Also, you can always leave a bad review for us. I'm totally fine with that. And in fact, I think that's exciting. I would love to know what we can do to improve. So you can also leave comments below and let me know what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy. I actually do read every single one. We also have a newsletter that comes out once a week, so you can get all the updates from us. We also put in some weekly business and marketing updates in there, as well as some personal notes from me. You can subscribe to that on my LinkedIn, also through the Instagram and in the show notes below. Anyways, that is all from me. I'm so excited for you to listen to this episode. I hope it's a good one, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye. Okay, Ayesha Ameer, founder of Mentoria Digitals. Welcome to Founders in Jeans. I'm so excited to have you today.
Perfect. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm excited to speak and, get into LinkedIn, all the personal branding stuff and see how it goes.
Of course, yeah. So for people who are not familiar with you, why don't you introduce yourself in your own words?
Yeah, so my name is Ayesha Ameer. A lot of you might know me from LinkedIn, and I basically help founders and executives grow their personal brand on LinkedIn. I've worked with people from Louis Vuitton, from Visa, Emirates, and a bunch of other places. And I help out small business founders as well. So that is what I do, and I run an agency. Yeah.
I love it. So we actually met on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is very new to me, but I think it's a very underrated platform. I think you've done a really good job of making LinkedIn feel less like a bragging contest and more like a tool people can use in their businesses and such. How do you explain what you really do to someone at a dinner party?
Yeah, so first of all, like LinkedIn overall, I totally recommend people pop onto it and use it. It's good that you're on there as well, by the way, because I know a lot of people who should be on there and should be making use out of it, because compared to other platforms, LinkedIn is less saturated. There's more opportunities, especially if you're like a business owner or someone who's professionally trying to grow more. But in terms of myself and like if I'm explaining to someone what I do at like a dinner party, anything like that, I would say I just help people grow their personal brands on LinkedIn so that they can become known and they can talk to their audience about what they do, their story, anything about them, so they can get more opportunities. So in basic terms, I would say that.
Mhm. So I want to work backwards a little bit in terms of starting Mentoria Digitals. Was there a specific moment that you realized personal branding was kind of bigger, or there was more of a need for people in that field? What kind of led you to start?
Yeah, so I'll take you back to when I join the platform. And when I created my profile, which was like day one back in the day, this
Mm-hmm.
was, I'm going to say maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was doing a marketing apprenticeship. And my manager, he said, you should get onto LinkedIn, you should grow your personal brand on there, go look at the other people on there. And we were also growing the company page on LinkedIn, by the way. So it was good that I got into the platform, got to learn about it because I was like, maybe, I think I was like 16, 17 years old. So very new to the world of social media, branding, marketing, all of that. I'd just left high school and then gone into an apprenticeship. So then my manager, he told me, join LinkedIn. And then from there, I saw a lot of people on the platform that were sharing their story. They were doing great stuff. I got inspired by them. So then I decided that I want to do it as well. I want to see how this goes. And initially I didn't want to start an agency. I didn't really go into like branding. I was actually more into like marketing because that's what I was doing in my apprenticeship. So like general marketing and focus on like social media overall. And
Mm-hmm.
then from there, I just dived a little bit deeper, found my bubble on LinkedIn, and I got inspired by a lot of people who I still follow to this day. And now they're like my friends, like they know me from the platform too. So that is kind of where it started. And I realized that there is opportunities over here. And then when I finished my apprenticeship, I went on to building my agency, which is Mentoria Digitals. And then I'm still doing that now and helping people grow their personal brand on LinkedIn.
Yeah. And I know that you listed some before, some really big C suites with like also to some really massive names like Louis Vuitton, Visa. What do you think is drawing these leaders to personal branding now more than ever?
I think because they're wanting opportunities. They know that they have the expertise and they want to share it with the audience. They want to stand out and they're realizing the value of personal branding. So that is why, like, you'll notice a lot of people nowadays, a lot of the founders of different companies and executives that are coming more on the platform, that are going more on social media. They're sharing more of their journey. Like I put out a post today actually about PayPal, and they're basically hiring a head of CEO content because they realize that, it is good when the executives from the company or the founders show up on social media and they show who they are, they share their story. You get more opportunities from it. And I've been on the platform for about 3, 4 years now, and I've noticed more of these people coming onto the platform because they know that they can get opportunities from it if they do it right. So I think
Hmm.
that is why.
Yeah, I definitely think it's very underutilized. I was actually just telling someone earlier, like it's a low commitment, high reward platform at this point in time. And I know it's evolved a lot over the past couple of years. That actually, I'm curious, how long have you been on LinkedIn for?
I think I joined towards the end of 2021. It's been
Hmm.
almost 4 years, I would say. But like at the beginning, first year and a half, I was like a ghost on the platform. I was just looking at other people. I know a lot of people when they join the platform, it's like that. When in the
Hmm.
beginning, they're trying to get used to it and understand what's going on, look at people,
Right.
find their bubble. So same thing
Hmm.
happened with me as well. And then from there, I realized what I want to do going forwards and then built a network around me and just kept on growing and growing.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's generally the the kind of path that people take on LinkedIn. So I guess I want to ask you, what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about personal branding, especially on LinkedIn?
I would say, you know, like in the name, it says personal, so personal branding. I would
Hmm.
say it's actually less about you and more about the people you're targeting in your audience. Because this is the thing that comes up a lot when I'm working with founders and executives, when we're working on their personal brand. They just think it's all about them. But
Right.
yeah, it is about your story. It's about your experiences. It's about how you can help the audience. But you really need to understand what do they actually want. So essentially, on LinkedIn, your brand is built on how well you help your audience, not how well you just like present yourself. So I would say it's great you're sharing your story and experiences, which is key. Like you have to
Hmm.
do that, but also realize that you have to look at, okay, am I just sharing random things that are really going to value my audience, or am I actually giving them substance so that they
Hmm.
see that I'm a person of value? That's one thing that a lot of people miss out on.
Right. Um, yeah, that's a really good point. I think a lot of people get discouraged because they go on LinkedIn and they'll post for multiple months without seeing a lot of traction. From your experience, what do you think actually begins to move the needle?
A lot of people, when they join LinkedIn right at the beginning, it's so easy when you go see the other profiles and they've got like hundreds and thousands of likes and engagements. There's so many people around them and the content is performing so well. And you want to get to
Hmm.
that point. That was me at the beginning as well, by the way. Like I was getting maybe 5 to 10 likes on a piece of content and impressions less than 1,000. This was for a long time. And then slowly you pick up on things. So for me and like my clients, there's different things that we focus on so that you can actually move the needle and get closer to your results. So that would be the first thing I always say to focus on is looking at your positioning. So who do you want
Hmm.
to target and what do you want to be known for? What makes you stand out? Those three things I would say are key. And then based on that, you would focus on everything around your LinkedIn. That would be your profile, your content, your commenting, DMs. What offer do you have in place? So this is what I do with all of my clients, by the way, where we help them with fixing all of these areas on their profile. I
Hmm.
always describe it to my clients as a bit like a puzzle because you've got all the different pieces of LinkedIn. And then when you put them together, it's like the bigger picture that you're creating. So
Right.
your profile optimization will be like one piece of the puzzle. Then you've got like your content strategy. Then you've got your offer, and there's a bunch of other things. So it all comes together. And when you're missing one of those things from the puzzle, you kind of don't complete the bigger picture. So you don't get
Hmm.
the best results. So if you are wanting to move the needle, you have to focus on all the different areas. But the foundation of it all is your positioning. So that's the first thing I'd focus on and then go on to everything else.
Right. Um, I think that's really smart. I too, I also want to think about too for people who are literally just starting on LinkedIn and are not so much like haven't been posting on there before, and they don't have a ghostwriter and they don't have an agency or anything like that. What is the first thing you tell them to do that doesn't apply to positioning? Like maybe back to the basics
The
more.
first thing I always say is just start because this is the thing. A lot of
Mm,
people, they join the platform and they're just looking around what's going on. They don't really take it seriously. So
mhm,
when I'm like coaching my clients, the individuals that I'm coaching, I tell them that, you just have to start and take the steps because you refine as time goes on and you figure out what works for you and what doesn't. That same thing happened to me at the beginning. I do that with my clients as well. We don't know from day one what's working and what isn't.
right.
We kind of work through it and then figure it out. And also the algorithm's always changing. What your audience wants is always changing. So if you're starting out, the first thing I would say is have a goal in mind. What do you want to achieve? And then just begin on it. Begin on your profile and optimizing it. So knowing who you want to target, what you want to present. And then you can tweak it as time goes on. It's always changing. I'm also going to be changing my profile in a couple of days as well to fix up
Mm,
my targeting. And this is something that you learn as time goes on. So you can work on that, your strategy as well. As time goes on, you notice what is bringing you opportunities and what isn't. So then you focus on the right areas. And also follow the people in your industry and also in personal branding who are doing quite well. So you can learn from them. Because at the beginning, you most probably can't hire a ghostwriter or like an agency to help you out. And maybe you might not want to, you want to learn it yourself.
mhm,
So I would say go in and follow those people and learn from them because when I joined LinkedIn, I I didn't pay anyone for training or like learning how to use the platform or like learning about
right.
personal branding. I did it myself because there's so much information on the platform that individuals
Right.
are sharing for free and
Right.
like every single day they're sharing information. So from there you can develop your skills and grow on the platform.
Right. I think that LinkedIn is, I really appreciate what you just said because I think that LinkedIn is kind of very anti gatekeep. I saw somebody's post the other day that said something about like, if gatekeeping makes no sense because if somebody wants to do it themselves, they will always figure out a way. And if somebody needs holding, they will always find somebody to hold their hand and like help them along with that process. So yeah, there is so much free information out there. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I wanted to ask. So obviously you've worked with a lot of people, over 50 leaders. How do you tailor content for a luxury brand versus a fintech founder, for example?
So when we work with our clients, like we've worked with so many different clients across a range of different industries. Like we don't just focus on one. I know a lot of people they do that, but we don't do that because I do believe branding can be applied to like any industry, anyone. Even if you're like someone who is like a house builder, you can still do your branding and stuff. You can still brand yourself or market yourself. So what we
Mm-hmm.
do essentially is we work on the strategy first for the client. Whoever it is, we look at who do they want to target, what do they want to speak about. We build your content pillars, and those are key areas you want to focus on at the beginning so that you can create the right content to target your audience. So if I were to give anyone advice on how they can do it, it would just be to focus on those specific areas. So your ideal client, the topics you want to speak about. That's basically content pillars, but it probably sounds like fancy to some people. So I'll just say it's those specific topics that you want to speak about. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's a couple of different sections you can focus on as well. So you can focus on your story content. So talking about your experiences, you can focus on educational content. That is content where you're teaching your audience. You can focus on social proof and case studies. That's if you're like selling something. Normally clients who are looking for opportunities and leads, that's what we do for them. So that's why, when we onboard our clients, we look at, okay, what is your overall goal? Like, what are you trying to get closer to? Normally,
Mm-hmm.
if it's like a luxury brand executive, they probably want to share their expertise rather than like selling something.
Mm-hmm.
So we help them out with that and how they can share their ideas, what they've learned, and become a thought leader in their space. And then if you have like a fintech founder, they probably want to sell something. So then based on that, we look at their goals and create a strategy around it. And any client that we work with, that's like the first beginning step that we focus on.
I am curious, do you have any systems or structure that has helped you specifically scale without burning out?
Yeah. So, like initially it's really, really messy and you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what to do. You can't really figure it out. Then you figure out your own systems. You find what works for you and what doesn't. But one thing that comes into all of this, which is really, really helpful, is using different tools. So I
Mm-hmm.
use a bunch of different tools. My team does as well. And also keep in mind, I have like a team that helps me with things. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
less likely to burn out, but still it's possible. So in terms of tools, some that I would recommend that I use on a daily basis is I use Magic Post, which is LinkedIn AI content tool that writes out content, but you put your ideas into it and your thoughts, and then it can create a post for you. So I do like that tool. I don't like fully rely on it. I still make edits and changes and things. But if you're starting out on the platform and you want to write content which is quite strong, you can use that tool. Another thing that we use is Trello. That's for project management. So any work that we do for clients, managing communication with them, all of that, we do it on Trello. And what other tool? Also, there's another tool called Orthodop. Orthodop is good for if you're like wanting to format your content. So there's so many different tools that you can use, especially AI tools. I know a lot of people are against it, but if you use it in the right way, you're going to save so much time. Like there's no point being against it. Honestly, I'm a big person who thinks that AI is quite good, saves you a lot of
Yeah.
time and effort. So I will always support it, even though there's people like, oh, there's people on the platform that are like, oh my gosh, you lose your authenticity, you lose this and that. But if you use it in the right way, you don't. You just need to learn how to use it in the right way so that you can let
Right.
your colors come through, your expertise, your thoughts. It's basically a tool which will allow you to present yourself even better and produce even better work. So when you leverage it in the right way, you can bring out the best results. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just having the right systems like that in place, you figure out as time goes on too.
I think that's a really good point about AI. I know that there are, for me, I think I'm like an AI inevitabilist. Like it will be inevitable that everybody will be using it sooner rather than later. And so it's just a matter of using it as a tool and figuring out how to use it ethically and effectively, even more importantly.
Exactly. I saw a post on LinkedIn actually recently that mentioned something quite similar to that, where they were talking about AI is going to come. There's going to be tools everywhere. AI is going to be everywhere. You just have to start to leverage it. If you don't, you're going to be behind. You're already going to be
Totally.
behind. So, you might as well learn how to do it now. And I feel like
Right.
initially when the whole AI boom and everything came, especially on LinkedIn, I think this was maybe 2, 3 years ago. Back then, a lot of people were quite against it, but now I feel like they're open to it. They're speaking about it because they realize the benefits of it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I will say though, I can tell every time somebody, not every time, but I think for the most part, I can tell when somebody's using AI to leave a comment on my post. And I have to say, guys, you could be way more creative.
Yeah, I don't support that, by the way, when it comes to AI comments and stuff, because it sounds so. I've never used them, and I like it when I
Mm-hmm.
go onto the content and actually digest it and reply and actually understand what's going on. And I think with
100%.
AI comments, like I've heard of so many different tools being used. I've actually had different companies reach out to me to promote their tools. But for AI commenting, I've never been the person to, because I just feel like the way they use it, you sound like everyone else. I've had posts where, the post goes live. After 1 minute,
Mm,
there's maybe 5 comments, and all five literally sound the same
yep.
because they're
Yes.
using they're using a tool, probably like a similar tool that they're all using, and
Mm-hmm.
AI, and because of that, they're damaging their brand in the long term. So,
Right.
I would 100% everyone in the audience, I'd recommend that, you take care of that. If you're doing that, you might want to
Right.
keep an eye on it, because with me, when I see someone using an AI comment and I can tell that, it's not you, I
Mm-hmm.
I don't normally block the person, but I always have it in mind that, this happened.
Right.
So I don't know if the person's actually being authentic or not. So you just
Right.
want to be human. People just want to know what you're actually thinking and saying.
For sure. Yeah, you want to build authenticity. Yeah. Well, so I want to ask you, have you ever struggled with showing up online yourself? Like, what's that? I think that's a really common thing I hear with founders is like, and you mentioned that at the beginning, especially about personal branding. Like, how has that process been for you?
Yeah, so initially on LinkedIn, I did really struggle with posting and sharing my ideas. I think everyone does when you're on the platform at the beginning, because it's so new to you. You feel like everyone's judging you in some way, shape, or form. And even myself, because I couldn't really find anyone on the platform that was like me. Like, I'm a hijabi, I'm
Mm-hmm.
um I'm a woman who's running a business and stuff like that. So it was really hard for me to find someone that I could relate to. So because of
Mm-hmm.
that, at the beginning, it was hard to post on the platform and share my ideas. But because I saw these other people on the platform who were performing so well, sharing their ideas, and there was a bunch of different people, then I was like, you know what, maybe I can do this as well. And then day by day, as I was posting more, I gained the confidence. And now I literally post and I don't really care. I want
Mm-hmm.
to share my ideas, so I'm going to do it. Not just LinkedIn, I post on Instagram as well, and also have a newsletter, all of those different things, because I know you can get the opportunities from it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm also really happy about it because I get messages from people frequently where they say that, you're inspiring me. I couldn't find anyone like you, like myself. So, I'm so happy I found you, and I love the content that you share. So, it's stuff like that. As time goes on, you realize that impact that you're making, and then you want to keep going. You just want to keep on helping people. So I
Right.
think just start and keep going, and it will
Right.
work out.
Practice makes progress, right?
Exactly.
Is there anything that has surprised you about working closely with such high level executives on personal content?
Yeah, they have like really, really crazy stories. They have some
Huh.
crazy experiences. So, like when we're working with the clients, of course, we have to speak to them, get the stories from them, and listen to what they have to share and the different lessons. And I have had some crazy conversations with our clients where they're explaining a story or something that happened a few months or years back, where they're sharing their experience or a lesson that they learn and they want to share it with their audience. I'm not going to mention any because I don't want to call any of my clients out, But there
Right.
are quite a few things, and you learn so much as time goes on. Like, I probably wouldn't have been able to learn any of these things if I wasn't doing the work I am. So I am grateful I get to speak to these people who are individuals who are doing amazing things, and I get to learn from their lessons while creating content.
I'm curious, if you weren't building LinkedIn brands for a living, what would you be doing?
I don't really know. So, like after high school, normally, by the way, I'm in the UK, so the education system over here is normally what people kind of follow. Like most of the people over here, you go from high school to college to uni to a job.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do
Mm-hmm.
that. I went from high school to doing an apprenticeship to starting in an agency. So that's
Mm-hmm.
quite like, it's very, very uncommon over here. You normally go down the traditional education route. So because of that, I don't really know what I would have gone into because my apprenticeship was focused on digital marketing. So I'm thinking most probably something around that. But in school, I did really like maths and science. I was very much like the student that quite liked STEM subjects. So,
Mm-hmm.
maybe something around that. I have no idea. But I am happy with what I'm doing now because I get to really express myself and be creative with the things I'm doing. But maybe in the future, I might go into something else because I feel like I do like branding. I don't know if I would be in it for the long term. Like I'd always want to do branding and stuff and run my agency, but maybe have
Right.
other things in the future too.
For sure. Well, what's nice too is you have a lot of flexibility with your job too, for sure.
Yeah, it is great. It is great. Like the pressure does come with being an agency founder, running so many different things. You're like everywhere. You feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
managing so many different things. But then there's also the side where you're grateful for it. And another thing is I'm grateful that I've got my audience and I've got a base. So if it is ever the case, I want to do something else. Like I know how to figure it out and work through it all.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to ask you some more kind of fun, offbeat questions.
Mhm.
I'm sure you saw I have that in the outline. It's always like my favorite part. Is there kind of, or I guess, what do you consider as the most cringe LinkedIn trend that you kind of wish would go away?
There's so many of them to be honest, because you know, like it's changed over time, the platform. But some of like the
Mm-hmm.
cringiest things, like you have the AI comments, which is kind of like it is a
Yeah.
little bit cringe. I would also say, like perfectly formatted posts. So like everything is like on point. You've got all the arrows and
Mm,
everything. And then also when you combine it with like all of their pretty pictures, especially the girls on the platform, by the way, where you've got all
uh-huh.
like the pictures that look so good and the perfect content. And honestly, when you read the content, it doesn't really give you anything. And the picture's just there,
Mm,
it's just a picture. And then you see how many likes and engagements it's got. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. You've got like
yeah.
500,000 likes or plus. And, you know, like it's fine if you do that, but give your audience something. Like, give them value or something that they can actually work with because you're going to do this, but in the long run, you're not actually building a personal brand. You're just posting pictures and saying a few words that everyone's going to agree with. And that's not how you build a personal brand or become a thought leader. So, you can go do that. But, you might not get the best results in the long term with that. So that's something.
Right.
And I speak about this a lot. Like when for example, like my business advisor, I was speaking to him about the same thing as well, where I was talking about, so he's like on LinkedIn as well. So he sees this type of content as well. And I was like, this type of content, it kind of just makes me want to unfollow all of these people that are doing this
Right.
because you're just getting the likes for your picture or like for things which look good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess that's a rant for another day.
No, I get that. And I totally relate. And I definitely am guilty of having done that myself. But yeah, it's interesting. Like there's kind of a trap I think you can fall into with LinkedIn that you get
Hmm.
excited because you start to see a lot of traction, but that's not always your target audience, which
Yeah.
is tricky because you get caught up then in like the vanity metrics.
Exactly. And this is the thing. Don't get caught up in like the numbers. If you're like building something that you want to be impactful over the long term or like get leads and clients, don't focus on impressions and engagements. Focus on the impact that you're making. So a lot of these people, they're looking at the likes that they're getting or how many views and stuff. But you have to look at what you're building in the long term and is it impactful. And this is why I don't, a lot of people say to me, like, Aisha, you should post your picture more often on LinkedIn. But I'm like, I don't want to do that because
Mm-hmm.
most of the time I am posting like carousels, infographics, or like text only posts that I've been going into that as well because I
Mm-hmm.
want to share the value, I want to share the expertise because I want people to work with me for the knowledge that I have, not for the way that I look. So yeah,
Right.
that is something.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious, and you might have just covered this, but is there a kind of personal branding red flag that you see? Or I guess if personal branding had a red flag, what would it be?
I think it kind of links into what I mentioned before, but like people make things look so perfect. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything looks so perfect, but it's not. Like if you want to connect with your audience, the humans, so you have to really share the lessons and stories. And with my clients, some of the best content and the content which is connected with their audience so well has been content which doesn't feel so perfect. And it really does allow the person to come out and share their experience and share their thoughts around different topics because people can
Mm-hmm.
relate to it then. Because they're struggling with it, but they're not going to post about it online. But when they read a
Right.
post about that certain topic and they realize, oh my gosh, someone is actually posting about this and I can relate to them, they're going to connect with you. They're going to want to see more of what you're sharing. They're going to follow you. They're going to join your newsletter, whatever else there is. And that's the way that you bring them in.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I know you I'd kind of covered that, but yeah, I think authenticity is maybe the number one factor for bringing people closer and to helping people trust you more. Yeah. If you have kind of before you hop on a client call or even a high stakes, onboarding or something like that, do you have kind of a go-to confidence booster?
I would say I just like being prepared because if I'm not prepared, then I don't feel confident. So
Mm-hmm.
I like to normally what I'll do is go through the information the client has shared and then from there I would prepare for the call, make any notes I need to, just go through the information. And the thing is, like as you do more of these calls and speak to more people, you get more confident and you learn what works and what you should say. So, if it works out over time as well, just be prepared and do the uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to know kind of what's coming up for you next. I know that you've hit already some really big milestones, including 20 million plus collective impressions with your clients. Is there a kind of next milestone that you're chasing?
I feel like with the agency, we're working on so many different things and also like client content. So right now, a couple of things that we're working on is like updating the website. We're developing higher ticket offers so that we can help even more people and focusing on my positioning, the business's positioning, fixing that. I think when you're running something, you have to always be open to learning and growing, which is why I've also hired a couple of people to help with the agency so that we can bring better results, bring in better clients, and also our current clients who have, as you've mentioned, we've achieved millions of impressions with them. So growing that even more and getting more opportunities from them. We don't just focus on impressions. We look at, okay, what opportunities are you getting when you're working with
Right,
us and through your personal brand? So just always
right.
looking to improve and bring better results. We
Mm,
also launched an email course not too long ago, updated that as well. I've got a newsletter too, just a bunch of different things.
yeah. Um, do you have like a dream client or a kind of dream brand that if you could pick, you would build a LinkedIn brand for?
Oh, there's quite a few people. One person that comes to mind who I've actually posted about on LinkedIn is an individual called Liana Deeb, but she's more popular on Instagram. And I think
Mm,
she's on TikTok, I'm not sure, but I follow her on Instagram. She is an individual who um, is a hijabi like me. She's in the
hmm.
fitness area and she also inspires people like myself. So that's why I'd want to work with her because I know she's built an amazing brand over on Instagram and also a bunch of people recognize her. She works with Gymshark as well. So, I've
Mm.
seen her journey online. That's one person who I just look up to that person.
And I'm sorry, I missed that. What was her name again?
Liana Deeb.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look her up. Good answer. Okay, well, I wanted to I don't want to take up like too much more of your time. So I want to kind of get into some rapid fires. Um, do you have, my first question is, do you have a favorite underrated tool for creators?
Yeah, so I mentioned this tool, Magic Post. I would say,
Hmm.
when you're starting on LinkedIn, it's a really helpful tool for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there one business book that you think is overhyped? And do you have another one that is underhyped?
So I haven't actually read that many business books, so I wouldn't really know. The ones I've read have
Mm,
been quite good. Like I like books that are more about like self-improvement, productivity, all of
mm,
that stuff. I do listen to a few podcasts. I do
yeah.
like Diary of a CEO, which I think some people would disagree with me and they would be like, "Oh no, I don't really like this." But
Mm,
there's a bunch of good stuff on there. There's a book that I'm reading now, which is by Sahil Bloom, which is about wealth, and I can't remember the book's title, but it's about like time wealth and not just focusing on money, but also looking at, okay, you're spending time with family, you're balancing your life, you knowing how to work and be productive, so a bunch of different things. So
mhm.
I would recommend that book.
Okay. Do you have any other, like, maybe a course or any other resources, and it might be another book that, like, you find yourself recommending over and over again to kind of budding entrepreneurs?
One book is Atomic Habits. Again, something
Mm,
that's quite well known, but it's just one of those basic things which are quite good if you read it.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Um, okay. LinkedIn in 2019 versus LinkedIn now. Do you have 3 words to describe it?
Like the difference.
Mhm,
I feel like it's more authentic now, but still it
mm,
isn't because of AI. Now
mhm,
people, what they're using and stuff. So I would say that. And there's been more people coming onto the platform. I feel like there's less quality now. I don't know. I feel like that because I've been on the platform for 3, 4 years. So it's really hard to find those individuals that are sharing content, which is their thoughts and quite authentic to them.
right. Good answer. Gosh. Okay, last question. What is one thing you never compromise on in your client work?
That is a good question. I would say I always like to make my client feel like they're my only client. I don't want them to feel
Hmm,
like we're busy with other people, we can't prioritize you. Because like I don't ever want it to be like that. I want each and every single client that if they leave us, they leave a good review for us, a good testimonial, and they feel like they were prioritized and we bring them the best results possible. Because in the long run, that is how I'd want to grow and have a good name for us. So just making sure quality work, we're providing that to them and also
yeah,
making sure that they feel important.
yeah. Great answer. Okay, well, I'm so excited I got to chat with you and hear all your different insights. Where can people connect with you and where can they find out more about your agency?
So best thing would be go onto my LinkedIn profile. If you search up Ayesha Ameer, then you can go into my profile and go to our website. You can follow me on Instagram, follow me on LinkedIn, whatever you want to do. And if you ever need help with personal branding, just book a call with me through my profile and I'd be happy to help.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Aisha. I mean, like, this has been an amazing episode. I'm so glad I got to chat with you.
Perfect. Thank you for the opportunity and allowing me to speak and share my thoughts.
Of course. And that's a wrap.